what is it that you do? My life was great till you added colors. Like the moon needs the sun, we don't care about the others. You set my world on fire. You're my heart's desire. I just wanna love you, just wanna hold you, just wanna be with you till we grow old. Please tell me you'll stay or take me away. I want you for myself every single day. You set my world on fire. You set my world on fire. I don't know what I'd do without you. You make me smile, what is it that you do? My life was great till you added colors. Like the moon is the snow, we don't care about the others. You set my world on fire. You're my heart's desire. I just wanna love you, just wanna hold you, just wanna be with you till we grow old. Please tell me you'll stay or take me away. I want you for myself every single day. You set my world on fire. You set my world on fire. I just want you, I just need you. I don't know what it is you do. I just want you, I just need you. I don't know what it is you do. I just wanna love you, just wanna hold you, just wanna be with you till we grow old. Please tell me you'll stay or take me away. I want you for myself every single day. You set my world on fire. You set my world on fire.
Wide awake is the way that you left me, side by side in your car in the backseat. Wide awake is the way that you left me, oh. Now it's clear we are here back at your house, and I keep fading into the background. I'm wide awake, now you keep missing out for sure. Take down your walls and let me, ooh, ooh, ooh. Yeah, brick by brick, now let me, ooh, ooh, ooh. I wanna be right there by your side. I wanna be My home's open wide. We can live here. We can die. There's nothing to fear if you try. If you keep believing, like rain falling soft from the sky, I'll tend to your needs. We can live here. We can die. We can live here. We can die. Oh, oh, so bright and awake. My heart levitates. Oh, oh, so bright and awake. My heart levitates. Oh, oh, so bright and awake. My heart levitates. Oh, oh, so bright and awake. My heart levitates. We can live here. We can die. We can live here. We can die. Took a bite, and now I'm filled up. I don't know where you are tonight. 'Cause you're right, I've been starving and now I don't know what to do tonight. But I've been feeling like you're pretty easy to like. When your body is closer to mine, you got me feeling like there's no one other than you who can make me lose my mind. You start me up like no one has ever could. You fuel my fire. What are the odds we end up loving it? Spending every minute together. I found it quite odd, quite lovely. You start me up like no one has ever could. You fuel my fire. I took a bite, and now I need more. I don't know how to make this right. 'Cause you're right, yeah, you're right. We are going too fast, but now I don't know how to stop. But I've been feeling like you're pretty easy to like. When your body is closer to mine, you got me feeling like there's no one other than you who can make me lose my mind. You start me up like no one has ever could. You fuel my fire. What are the odds we end up loving it? Spending every minute together. I found it quite odd, quite lovely. You start me up like no one has ever could. You fuel my fire, fire, fire. 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 You fuel my fire. Let's keep this fire alive.
tonight at all. Just wanna watch them stars fall. But you don't wanna try to make up dreams just to be seen. I wanna lay here beside you, all quiet. Fire breath and open sky. It's not what we know, it's where we go. I grow wings and tell her goodbye. Oh, it's not what we see, it's what we choose to be. Sunflowers, high grass, and bare feet. Oh, but you each second is a treat. I keep my balance next to you. It's true. Nowadays there's nothing I wouldn't do for you. Fire breath and open sky. It's not what we know, it's where we go. I grow wings and tell her goodbye. It's not what we see, it's what we choose to be. We're beyond good. I've never been so ready. Fire breath and open sky. It's not what we know, it's where we go. I grow wings and tell her goodbye. Oh, it's not what we see, it's what we choose to be. Fire breath and open sky. It's not what we know, it's where we go. I grow wings and tell her goodbye. It's not what we see, it's what we choose to be. Don't need someone to save me, no, and don't come running to blame me. From miles away I can tell that something's off. The way you look and how you pause when you talk, I think it's said enough. You said your love for me something brand new. You said this is something you would never do. Here we are in your car, let me see who you are, who you really are, yeah. Don't need you here to say you're sorry, 'cause if you're gonna leave me then just do it. Don't take it slow, don't be gentle, no, I just gotta know. If you're gonna leave me then just do it. Let's be honest for a second, yeah. You're being over your head, babe, 'cause there is no one other than me that can make you feel the way you feel when I hold you. I think I said enough. You said your love for me something brand new. You said this is something you would never do. Here we are in your car, Whenever all the stars above are shining, then I know I'll never be alone. Wherever all my wishes may be heading, a part of us will never leave. Oh, wherever in the world you may be hiding, in a while I know you're coming home. Tonight I know you will be coming home. For every spoken word I wish for silence, for every storm I long for peace. For every step I'm taking there's a sidewalk, there's a road, a way to get to you, to get to you, to get to you, to get to you. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I wanna get to you, yeah, yeah, yeah. I wanna get to you, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm on my way. Whenever I am off to find a sunset, a flavor of a memory, whenever all the stars above are shining, then I know I'll never be alone. Then I know